Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So, to summarize day 2 in Trump's hush money trials there in New York, I'm going to start with this one here from dailymail.com. The 7 jurors sworn in for the Trump trial: a teacher, corporate lawyer, nurse, and man who called ex-president fascinating are chosen for hush money panel after hard questioning. So by the end of day 2 of Trump's hush money trial, 7 jurors were finalized. Dozens had been asked to be excused when they could not be impartial in the case. Curious, because I don't know why you would admit that. If you're a Trump hater, you're a Democrat, you'd think you'd try to get on there. But anyways, they were whittled down to 7 as defense and prosecution rejected others. By the end of day 2 of Donald Trump's hush money trial, 7 prospective jurors had survived a 42-question questionnaire, a 30-minute grilling by prosecutors, followed by another 30 minutes of probing by the defense. Some had had their social media posts scrutinized or been glared at by the defendant. Their prize is a ringside seat at one of the most momentous trials in American history. No wonder some looked terrified as they walked into the jury box to take their seats and be sworn in. "This will be your permanent seat for the duration of the trial," said Judge Juan Merchan, who pushed back at repeated defense delays to get them installed by the end of Tuesday's proceedings. So 6 people were sworn in together in mid-afternoon, and a 7th was added right at the end of the day. Merchan must find another 5 jurors plus 6 alternates on Thursday and Friday if he is to hit the target of opening statements on Monday. The court does not sit on Wednesdays, which is today. And here, let's take a look at the 7 jurors, and they're only identified by their jury number. And we got B400, the Fox News and Daily Mail reader. A man originally from Ireland who now lives in West Harlem will take up seat number 1 in the jury box. He said he works in sales and previously was a waiter. In his spare time, he likes to do anything outdoorsy. He lives with his spouse and, like many who appeared before the court, has no children. One of the challenges for the defense has been to find jurors in liberal Manhattan who do not get all of their news from New York Times or NPR. Juror B400 said he reads the Daily Mail and watches Fox News, as well as the New York Times and MSNBC. So I guess they feel like this guy gets his news from multiple sources and he's a little bit more informed. I don't know. The oncology nurse, the juror taking seat 2, said she had lived in the Upper East Side for the past 3 years. She lives with her fiancé and works in finance, and says she enjoys spending time with friends and taking her dog to the park. She was asked by defense attorney Todd Blanche what opinions of Donald Trump she had walked in with. "I didn't even know I was walking into this," she said, sending a ripple of giggles through an outflow courtroom where journalists and members of the public watched the video feed. "I thought I was going home." She was adamant that she would be unbiased in her judgment. "I'm here for my civic duty. I'm here to listen to the facts," she said. Okay. On to juror B381, Oregonian. A man in Asian appearance with black hair, in his late 20s or early 30s, according to reporters in the courtroom. He will take seat 3. He is from Oregon originally and lived in Chelsea for 5 years. He said he's a corporate lawyer with Gunderson Detmer and likes to hike and run. Trump listened intently as he gave his answers to the questionnaire, holding his own copy close to his face as he did so. Later in the day, during the 30-minute voir dire session, when lawyers got their turn to ask questions, he was asked whether it is possible to decide someone's intent from their actions. "I don't think I need to read someone's mind to read their intent," he said. Hoping for at least one juror that will stand by Trump and stand against the fact that this trial should never have been brought in the first place. But on to juror B89, the Trump observer. Juror number 4 is an older man with receding gray hair, originally from Puerto Rico. He lives on the Lower East Side and is self-employed IT consultant. "I have no spare time," he said when asked about his pastimes. "I guess my hobby is my family." He brought an approving smile from the defendant later on in the day when he was asked about his opinion of Trump. "Fascinating," he said. "Like a naturalist about a wild animal, he walks into a room and sets people off. He makes things interesting." Blanche, the defense lawyer, was almost lost for words as Trump leaned back in his chair, grinning his approval. "All right," said the lawyer, "thank you." Maybe Trump likes that juror, I don't know. Juror B374, I'm sure you guys are going to remember these numbers, right? The Harlem teacher. A young black woman from Harlem who describes herself as a native New Yorker and works as an English language arts teacher. She said she lives with her brother who is a basketball coach, and she explained as she ran through the questionnaire on Tuesday morning that she got her news from Google and TikTok. That might not have sounded promising for Trump and his team, except for another detail she revealed. Both her mother and godfather were retired from the NYPD. He had been a homicide sergeant. She also said she could be impartial. There was a divide in the country, and I can't ignore that, she said. However, I never equated that to one individual. Okay, and then Juror B297, the software engineer, a young female software engineer who lives in Chelsea with 3 roommates and is employed by Walt Disney. She said her interests include plays, restaurants, dance, and watching TV. She gets her news from New York Times, Google, Facebook, and TikTok. She said her sister is getting married in September. Would that be a problem? If we were still here in September, that would be a big problem, said Judge Merchant. She will take seat number 6 in the jury box. A 7th was sworn in after a rapid-fire round of questioning in the late afternoon. Okay, juror number 7 presents as white, tanned, and is late middle age. He has close cropped hair, is balding, and wears glasses with a blue button-up which is open at the collar. He lives in the Upper East Side and said he works as a civil litigator working at Hunton Andrews Kurth. Would that be a problem? Asked Assistant District Attorney Susan Hoffinger. Yeah, I'm a civil litigator, which means I know virtually nothing about criminal, he said. I don't know anything about election or finance law either. But it sounds like maybe we have 1 or 2 Trump-approved jurors on the jury, which I believe it only requires 1 juror to stand with Trump here, and these charges won't be able to go through. The challenge is, in reality, is there anyone that lives in New York that will actually make a stand and be known as the person who let Trump walk? I mean, seems like Trump, even though he built multiple buildings there in that state or city and is a native New Yorker who seems to love the town, the people don't necessarily reciprocate. Trump is more loved around the rest of the country than he is in New York, which is ironic considering all the things that he's done for that city. I don't know if there is anybody in New York that would be willing to go down in history as the person that stood with Trump. But you never know. Maybe the temptation of having a book written about you or going down in history as the one that stood against the tyranny and the basically illegal case that should have never been brought in the first place. We know that judges keep gagging him from being able to speak freely. Just yesterday, judge basically said that Trump won't be allowed to go to Barron's graduation. This judge said that his courtroom in New York is more important than Trump's upcoming case where he needs to go and speak with the Supreme Court. This New York judge is basically barring Trump from making an appearance in his Supreme Court challenges. I think that Trump should skip out on this New York judge and show up for the Supreme Court trial, because the Supreme Court trial is actually more important for the people than this nonsense that's going on in New York with the Stormy Daniels hush money, which is the trial that they're selecting these jurors over. So anyways, you just never know. The way that New York is treating their tax-paying citizens right now, these folks might be ready to completely acquit Trump and essentially tell their local leaders that they can shove it, that they don't support the path that the local New York leadership has chosen. If a country or a city are going to facilitate a bunch of illegals, they need to do it in a manner where it doesn't affect the people that were born in this country, sons and daughters of tax-paying citizens themselves. They should all be able to live their life unimpeded, unaffected by the illegals that are running around in their city. The fact that they are affected, the fact that they're paying for it with their tax dollars in multiple different levels and ways, to me, would create a disdain where these folks, if they're educated at all, they get on this jury, they're going to acquit Trump right away. But I'm not going to hold out hope for New York to do anything good, especially when it comes to Donald Trump. With that, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I got another one coming up later. We're going to delve more into the Trump trial, and hope you guys come back for that one. On your way out, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.